Good evening. Welcome everybody to our very special Friends in Fiction official book club evening with Paige Crutcher. We're so excited to have her tonight. I'm Brenda Gardner, your host from South Carolina, and with me is the lovely Lisa.
Hi.
And we are welcoming Paige Crutcher with us tonight.
Hi. I'm so happy to be here with everyone.
Well, we are excited to have you. So let me tell everybody a little bit about Paige before we get started. Paige is the author of The Orphan Witch, which we're going to spend our evening talking about. Her work appears in multiple anthologies and online publications, and she is a former Southern correspondent for Publishers Weekly. She's an artist and a yogi, and when not writing, she prefers to spend her time trekking through the forest with her children, hunting for portals to new worlds. I think we need to know a little bit more about that, Paige.
We want to know about those portals.
Yes. Well, we haven't found one yet. Although if we did, I might not be allowed to say it either. So I'm kidding.
Oh, that's too funny. That's too funny. Well, we are so excited to have you again tonight to talk about your debut novel, The Orphan Witch. And it is just such an interesting story, and it's different than the kind of story I usually read, but there's so many parallels. Like there's this magic and sisterhood and friendship and evil and, battles. And yeah. I think it's something everybody can relate to. So with that though, Paige, so we can get started, would you mind telling our readers who may not have read the book yet a little bit about it in a summary?
Yeah. So it's the story of a lost witch. Her name is Persephone May, and she has never really felt like she's belonged anywhere. She's got powers she doesn't understand, and she gets invited to an island, and when she's there, she discovers found family, sisterhood, a library of the lost, a mysterious and kind of dashing librarian, and a 100-year-old curse. And along the way, she finds out who she is and kind of learns how to break the curse. So
awesome.
Yeah, so good. So good.
Yes, really amazing. I wanted to take a moment before we get too deep in the discussion, and everyone who is watching, if you have a question for Paige, please go ahead and put it in the chat. I was attempting to share, and I'm not really having a lot of luck. I'm attempting to share your webpage because I thought it was so interesting.
And while she's doing that, for those that are watching live, we do like to keep it spoiler free until 7:30, and we'll give you the spoiler warning before we discuss any spoilers. But if you have a question that has a spoiler, please hold it until 7:30 so we don't spoil it for our readers that haven't read the book. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Lisa. I just wanted to share this for people who are looking for more information about what they hear tonight, Paige's website, and it's just cool graphics. Story Wrangler is awesome. Yeah. There's some more information about The Orphan Witch.
Yeah.
And Paige. So let me, with my high technology skills, let me to where we were. So I think Lisa has a question for you, Paige.
I do. I wanted to know, so The Orphan Witch has been out for about a month now. What is that like for you to see your novel out in the world? It's gotten great reviews, great reception. How has it changed your life?
It's like in lots of little ways and big ways. It's very surreal to go into a bookstore and see your book on a shelf when it's been a dream for a really long time. And it's amazing to have friends and different people telling me they're reading the book and things they like about it, because you write it and you're kind of all alone in this world that you create and that you love, but you don't know if anyone else is gonna ever see it or read it, or if they'll like it or not like it or like parts of it. And so it's just been amazing. Yeah.
Well, congratulations to
Thank
you.
you.
Our chat is already blowing up with questions,
Oh,
and I'm
yay.
gonna jump in because I think this is something that everyone's gonna want to know. Leslie asks, is there any way to get a signed book plate? Or is
Oh,
there a bookstore that you have
yes.
where people can order signed copies of?
Yes, there is a bookstore called Hills and Hamlets in Georgia, and they have signed copies, and they're amazing. Patience, Josh and Megan own it, and Patience helps them run it, and they will help you. And yeah, that's where to go.
And it's called Hills and Hamlets?
Hills and Hamlets. Yes.
Okay. Now, if they've already purchased the book, is there a way, like, can they send a self-addressed stamped envelope
Yeah,
to you to get a
I
signed book
don't have
plate?
anything yet, but that's a really great idea. And so if anybody
Okay.
wants that, I'm happy to make that happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have them reach out to me and we can, or
Yeah.
reach out to me and Brenda and we can
Yes.
pass it along to you. Thank you.
That's awesome. Yeah, people are very much responding to that. Well, we have an advanced question that
Sure.
I think it would be good to kick off the discussion with about the Orphan Witch. And Debbie Stone asks, she would love to know more about the origin of the story and creation of the witches, and also what kind of research did you have to do for the magic and witchcraft?
Okay, so the origin of the witches, a lot of it was kind of percolating over the years. I was a huge Anne Rice reader as a kid and fell in love with like vampires and witches, and that parlayed into other witchy books and stories and shows and movies, and then like I had the idea of like just the lost witch without power, which and didn't feel like she belonged, and it kind of just, she came and then she was just there with me, which sounds a little hokey, but then I just started writing, which is kind of my process. Like I just sit down and I just start writing, and then the characters start to show up and more of the story starts to show up, and I started just asking. I have a dear friend, Ariel, who told me when you are drafting, the best thing that she does is she gets out like a piece of paper, or like, this is one of my little notebooks, which is like the Beetlejuice notebook, but it's actually just a journal. And I just sit down and I write in it like, what if? And so I just started writing like what if questions about the witches and about the island, and one thing just led to the next, pretty organically. And then a lot of it got fleshed out in revisions, because the first draft was all over the place, but with love. And then for research, behind me, you can kind of see some of the books I have. I have a lot of different books on different sort of, I guess, avenues of magic and witchcraft and mythology. And then I also read a lot of blogs and articles and went down, rabbit holes. And so it kind of comes a little bit from, I guess, everywhere.
Was there anything, while you were doing your research, was there anything that surprised you most? Where you were like, "Ooh, this has to be in the book," or was there something that you really wanted to put in the book but you couldn't because it didn't fit the story?
I cut a lot of scenes, so probably, but off the top of my head, I cannot think of anything. It's a really good question, though. I feel like I need to chew on it.
Well, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Certainly do that and make some comments later. Now, did I understand right that you kind of came up with the Persephone first?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was sort of, it was sort of inspired by Persephone and Hades, the mythology, which is part of, I think that's not spoilery to say that the island of Weil Island is closed 6 months of the year. So it's half of it's open and half of it's not, depending from one equinox to the next, which was a little bit of Persephone and Hades mythology too, in my mind, or how I read it and interpreted it. And that went in there.
I have a question from the chat.
Sure.
Or really, it's a comment I'd like to share. Leslie says she's always been fascinated with the witch trials, but she loved the more modern accepts of witchcraft you incorporated.
Well,
And then we also have a lot of our readers agree with you. They loved Anne Rice as well.
She's just
And
magical.
Sharon wants to know, did you interview any witches to help you with your research?
No, I did not interview any witches. I did go, that was part of like the deep dive into reading blogs and listening to, there's some great different podcasts that I listened to. And that was sort of how I went down that avenue. I wish I I think part of it's just being a bit shy about those sort of things. I don't think I felt like I could do that, you know, like I felt like I would be intrusive or invasive.
Sure.
Yeah.
And you know, it might be too that someone may not be maybe a little nervous about
Right.
interview too, because they might not know how you were going to treat the
Yes.
you know, subject matter. I could see how that would be an issue.
Yeah. And you know, I always want to honor and be as highly respectful as possible. That is like, you know, that's the bottom line foundationally for crafting.
Do you remember what some of the names of the witchcraft podcasts were? We have that question in here.
I do. I've got them. Well, I've got them. I still listen to them. So
okay.
I could maybe share that afterwards, and so I don't have to just scroll and like.
Yeah, that
sure.
would be fun.
Okay.
We would love that because we have a couple, Debbie and a few other.
Yeah, I'll be glad to share.
Are
They're
interested.
incredible to listen to. Yes.
Sure. Thank you. That's awesome.
Yeah, I love sharing resources.
Well, let's get into it, if we could, a little bit about the characters in the book. And to the degree that we can, we are waiting for 7:30 for spoilers. But I think that one of the readers, their advanced question was from Molly Neville, and she says, your book has so many strong female characters. Who did you relate to the most? And then please share in the chat, everyone, who you felt, you know, you related to the most, or who played the most important role in supporting Persephone, either way.
Well, I mean, gosh, that's a really good question. I feel like bits of me kind of go into every character. That's sort of like maybe how I relate to them, even though none of them are me. I guess maybe it is Persephone though, because I was closest to her. And so I think that's the character that so much of me went into at certain points in the story. But I also like, I love Moira. Like, I feel like I understood so much about her. And I also kind of wanted to be Moira. Like, I love her strength, you know, like I love that she knows who she is and she's comfortable in her essence of everything. But I loved all of them so much.
You're definitely, I love a story with strong female characters, not just one strong female character.
No.
Because there's so many characteristics for each of them that you can relate to.
Yeah.
And for me, Moira's strength, like when we first met her, you know, she's kind of standoffish and you're just like, oh, okay.
Who are you?
But she was someone that I looked at.
Yes, that's right.
What? I'm sorry.
Well, on the subject of strong female characters, like when I wrote the book, I was 5 or 6 months pregnant with my daughter. And so I wanted to write about like kind of, I mean, it's a very strange thing to call it like a, you know, bedtime story for my daughter, but in ways it is. It's like a kind of a fairy tale for her. I have so many strong, incredible women in my life, and family members, friends, you know, mentors, and I wanted to populate the world that I was creating with characters who weren't, you know, exactly like any of these people, but who I felt the same way about, and Persephone would feel the same way about. If that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Well, we've got Marilyn says she loved Moira too, but Ellison also.
Yes.
Lori said she liked Moira too. She liked how she was slow to warm up to. Persephone, then she always had her back.
Yes.
And Debbie says she loved how they each had a specialized strength. And also, Ellison spoke to her on so many levels.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Yeah. So we've got quite a few comments there. And I think to switch gears, another question that we got in advance is from Anissa, and she says she loved the cover of The Orphan Witch. Was this the first cover shown to you, and how much input did you have?
Oh, I had zero input. That is all my editor and the designer, who I wish I knew the name of. I feel like it's probably in an email somewhere, and I should have had that ready. But yeah, when I saw the cover, I was just like blown away. I mean, it is beautiful and it's evocative, and it's, it's everything I think you could dream that your cover would be. So I just felt incredibly fortunate. And I still yeah.
It is beautiful.
It is. It's delicious.
Now, do you recall when you first saw the cover?
Yes, I do. I was sitting in the chair in my reading room. I saw it on my phone, and so I jumped up and had to come get on my computer and look at it. And then I don't know if I called my agent or if we were just texting, but we were like, look at the cover. It's amazing. Yeah.
That's funny. Well, there's kind of a related question to that too.
Sure.
That is, how about the title of the book? Was it always The Orphan Witch?
No, it was sold under the working title Waking the Witches. And then in transition, it was renamed The Orphan Witch, which is also again, I just was I'm a fan of all the changes and all the things that are happening.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Brenda.
It's a great word for the cover, by the way.
Yes, we have a lot of love for the cover in the chat.
Oh, it's amazing. I agree.
Well,
oh,
do you have anything else, Lisa, or did you?
You can go ahead.
Well, I was going to kind of jump into the library kind of situation and ask about it.
Yes.
Ask about
I'm trying to watch the clock for spoilers because I know.
Oh, I know. And
that
watching
was one thing.
And watching the chat too. But I was really curious that the tension, or not necessarily bad tension, but the tension between Persephone and Dorian was really palpable.
Yeah.
What was your process to keep that tension relevant without being overdone or exaggerated?
Yeah, I think it's kind of like brush strokes when you're doing a painting is what it felt like. I'd write it and then let it sit, and then I would reread, and then I would add a little bit more, and then I would let it sit, and I would reread, and then I'd add too much, and then I would send it to a critique partner. She would help me kind of figure out how to do it. So some of it's just kind of trusting your gut and your imagination when you're writing it. Or for me, it was what I loved in a scene. If I really loved a scene, then I could be oh, I love this piece, and then I'd add a little bit more of whatever was in that vein. And then inevitably I always get stuck a little bit, and that's when I would ask one of my critique partners, can you help me? And they would help me flesh it out. I'm very, very lucky with having great friends who also are incredible readers, writers, and editors, and help my brain make sense of stuff.
That's awesome. It sounds like you have a great support system.
I do. I got some good people.
Well, that is just fabulous. Oh, I'm losing my place here.
Well, I think we've got a special question from a special guest that's sent in. a question for you. Brenda, do you want to read that one?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Paige, we have a special question coming in from Patty Callahan Henry, who's on bookstore for Once Upon a Wardrobe.
Yes.
And she wants to know, it is so funny that it led right into that, Lisa. I'm glad you brought it up, because she said, as we've seen with Friends in Fiction, the writing community is so amazing. Tell us how your writing tribe in Nashville, which is how Paige met Patty, influenced this book and you.
I mean, I feel like the better question is how didn't they? You know, I have leaned on, and I guess we all lean on each other, we all lean like to stay kind of afloat. There are seasons where it's harder to stay motivated and seasons where it just sort of flows. And I feel like all of the writing community in Nashville has like always cheered me on and sort of championed me to where the times when I would think, I don't know if I'm supposed to do this or if I can even keep doing it, you know, they would help me, like lift me up and keep me going. And yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. And I'm just curious too, were you still writing when the pandemic hit, or were you into editing?
I think I was into editing. Yeah, I was actually, I think, done editing, and I had for the Orphan Witch, and I was querying, I think, agents maybe right before it hit, I think is how that process works.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we will definitely be asking you about that later. the querying part.
Yes.
And I'd like to know how did you meet? One, she said through that, but what was it like meeting Patty? Were you a fan of her writing before you met her?
I think I had read maybe one of her works before I met her. It was when I was with Publishers Weekly. So I met her in like the capacity of being a journalist. And I just remember, and I'm trying to think of the first time I met Patty, if it was at like one of the book like shows, because I feel like maybe it was at SIBA or somewhere like that. Although I could be wrong, and she could be like, what are you talking about, Paige? But she's just like one of the loveliest human beings, you know, ever, and warm and encouraging and funny and brilliant. And yeah, so every interaction I have with Patty is lovely.
Yes, we love her too. And she is a big fan of yours. And she was a huge champion of the Orphan Witch. She was so excited.
See,
that
like that's
we
what I'm saying.
selected
Like
this book.
Like there's like, I can't even think of, there's so many ways that I've been supported and by these incredible people. But I feel like the writing community is a lot like the reading community. Like it's just these phenomenal people who love story and who, you know, champion it and who support each other. And that's to me like pure magic. Yeah.
That's how it feels with as you said, the reading community too, because
Yes.
the pandemic was, I don't even know what to say, but thankfully we had you know, reading in the community that was built to get through it, because I just don't know how it would have been otherwise.
I know.
Yeah. I don't know how we would have gotten through it without Friends in Fiction and the book club and the community and family that we've built.
Found family.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have a few more minutes till spoilers happen, so I'm going to ask you kind of a way back question.
Yeah.
We like to talk with people about what books have influenced them.
Ooh.
And what is the book you can first remember reading, or first remember like really making an impact on you?
I think it's an Anne Rice novel, but the novel Memnoch the Devil. I was probably a little bit on the younger side. I was 13, and one of my childhood best friends, who was also a huge reader, he gave it to me, or maybe he borrowed it to me, and I just never returned it. Let's be honest. But I remember like reading it, and it was just the language and the imagery, and it was incredible. And I was so captivated. And then after that, I went to like, you know, the Witching Hour and those books, and they were so, you know, just wildly wonderful. And yeah.
We were going to ask this later, but it just came up in the chat. Michelle Marcus would like to know what you're currently reading.
Ooh, I wrote down my list of my most recent reads.
Ready, everybody, add to your TBR pile.
Get your pens ready, guys.
Well, my current reads, I'm currently listening to one book and I'm reading another. I've just started both. And one is Once Upon a Wardrobe, Patty's book. And
Yay.
then the other one is Leon Moriarty's Apples Never Fall. And I'm listening to that one.
Yeah.
Nice.
And yeah. And then I just recently read the last two books I've read that I thought were both just incredibly wonderful in different ways was The Invisible Husband of Frick Island by Colleen Oakley.
Oh,
and
yes.
Yes.
She's a friend of the show.
Oh, wonderful. Well, she's very
Yes.
talented. And then Incense and Sensibility by Sonali Dev. And
I want to read that too.
yes, all of her like, I guess they're kind of re-envisions of the different Jane Austen works that she does. They're just, I love them so much. Yeah. So those are my most.
Those are some great suggestions.
Yeah, they certainly are. I've read almost all the Leanne Moriarty books, but I have not read. That's the newest one, right?
Yes.
Okay. Have not read that one yet, but that one will go on my list tonight.
Yeah, I've heard great things about that one too. We have a question that I'm curious to know, and I can't believe I didn't think of this myself. Brenda wants to know, are you a Harry Potter fan?
Oh, yes, I am. I am a Gryffindor. I was sorted.
Me too.
You're Gryffindor.
I am a Gryffindor as well.
Yay. My husband's a Ravenclaw.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
We should have worn our robes.
I know.
Oh, yeah. That would have been amazing.
I didn't even think of that. When I saw it in the chat, I was like, ooh, I definitely want to ask that question. Well, I have a story that I'd like to share with you, and the story doesn't involve spoilers. When we get to the question, for those of you that haven't read the book, depending on Paige's answer, so I'll probably stop before she answers in case her answer might include a spoiler. It might not. But one thing I wanted to share with you, Paige, when I was super excited about this book. Patty raved about it. I love witchy books. I love magic, witches, vampires, all of it. It's just my thing. So I was super excited. And when I opened the book before chapter 1, after your dedication, the first thing you see is a quote, and I'm going to read it. It's, "For there is no friend like a sister in calm or stormy weather, to cheer one on the tedious way, to fetch one if one goes astray, to lift one if one totters down, to strengthen whilst one stands." Christina Rossetti, and it's from the Goblin Market. Now, as soon as I read that, I called Brenda and I said, I haven't read this book yet, but I know I'm going to have a strong connection to it because I have a very strong connection to The Goblin Market by Christina Rossetti. When I was in college, my mentor, who passed away my senior year in college, but one of the last things she adapted, I got my degree in theater arts for those that aren't aware. She adapted Goblin Market into a performance art piece. And we traveled through the Southeast. We won a lot of awards for the show. I played Jeannie in Goblin Market.
Yes.
And Jeannie was a young woman who died after eating the goblin men's fruit before the story begins. And her experience kind of serves as a cautionary tale, like a warning for Laura and Lizzie, who are the main characters.
Yeah.
In Goblin Market. And it was a part of my life that meant so much to me. So when I saw that, I couldn't believe it. And I wanted to share that with you. I have some photos
Oh, I want to see the
that
photo.
I'm hesitant to share.
No, share them. That is the most
I was
beautiful
like, I
story.
have to know.
Yes.
I have to know. I'm just, give me 1 second, my share screen here. So this is the cast of us
Oh,
for Goblin Market, Strong Women. And for
amazing.
those that aren't familiar with the poem, I guess it's, there's different ways people interpret it. Some people think
Mhm.
it's, the forbidden fruit, could be, sexuality, it could be drug addiction. I think some people
Mhm.
have, there's been arguments, and it's definitely her most famous work and one of the most talked about poems in the Victorian, I would say.
Yeah,
So there we are. There's me right here,
I love
much
it.
younger, and yeah. So there's that, and then
You guys
the
looked
other
amazing.
photo I wanted to share is the t-shirt of
Mm.
our cast poster. I couldn't find the poster. I looked. This was from 1998 or 1999. I
Oh,
can't remember.
that is so cool.
And there's the famous. So I was already just over the moon when I saw it, because it's every now and then you'll read something now and they'll have a shout out to Goblin Market, but it's not as popular, like if they're for pop culture or like
Right.
Harry Potter. Just there's so
Yes.
many things that people
Yeah.
reference. And to have a shout out to Goblin Market, I was completely blown away before I even started. And I wanted to thank you for that.
Oh, I
And
love
my
that so much.
question, well, the question is, what does Goblin Market mean to you? What is your connection for Christina Rossetti, and why did you choose to have that be a theme throughout the book? And for those that haven't read the book, you might want to pop off or mute and come back when you've read the book, because
Yeah.
Because we're recording it, so
yeah, we're recording it.
Um, I will speak now. So, I think I first was introduced to that poem in, I feel like it was in middle school. And it was one of those things that was just like beautiful, but also menacing. And the imagery is incredible. And the story of Lizzie and Laura and Jeannie, and like the lesson they learned from her loss, and then
Mhm.
the bravery and the sisterhood of those two with what happens. That always just, I think, is the piece that's stuck with me. The willingness to do or sacrifice, which thematically plays into the whole of the novel.
Yeah.
It's so powerful. And as a kid, when you're still, I feel like when you're younger, you're so sticky, like certain things just stick on you, like they just connect and they stay with you. And that was one of those. And then like I remember I studied it in high school and then again in college. And it felt like, and it's, it could be curriculum based to why it kept recurring, but for me, like it felt like it was following me and it was, sticking to me. And I loved it. And I also loved, with the goblin men and the sort of the fae and the fairy element and the mythology that sort of, ties into that as well. Like kind of led to more study about like Irish mythology and the other world and the she and the fairies and, all of that. And all of that to me is just stuff that I can spend hours in if I'm not careful, because it just is so fascinating and incredible. And then why it's in this story, I feel like they just tied to it, and it felt like it was just part of it. Like it felt like it was part of Hyacinth and Ellison and Ariel and eventually Persephone. It felt like it was, symbolic in some ways, and then just also something that stuck to them, and so therefore it had to be in the story.
Well, I loved it, and I
I'm so
thank you for
glad.
that.
I'm so
So
happy. That's
yeah.
everything that it connected like that with you. I'll carry that. Will
It
stick
did.
to
I was like, oh my
me.
gosh. And I was like, I haven't even started it yet.
Yes.
No, it's amazing. So for those who haven't read Goblin Market, read it.
Yes. And I even
Brenda,
had
what were you gonna say?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I talked over you, but I was going to say, I mean, she literally did call me and say, "You're not going to believe this."
I love that so much.
Yeah.
I have still somewhere in the house the poster of Goblin with the fairy and like them of the water, and I had that for years. Like I just kept it always near me. Yeah,
It's amazing.
it is. I love that connection.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Well, since we are past spoiler time, I want to, and I'm not even sure I can verbalize my question because there was just so much happening in this novel.
Oh.
I mean, it's just, I guess I'm wondering, how did you kind of piece together the layers of the plot moving forward and how things were going to resolve themselves with that, for lack of a better word, I'm going to say sort of final battle.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of threads to the book. So I had like note cards with things on it, notebooks of things. I used Scrivener, and so I'd break scenes down and try and kind of keep track of it that way. And then that's the great thing about having critique partners. Things that would fall off or that I was not sure how to resolve, they were able to look at it and be like, where is this going? Do you need this? If you need this, why do you need this? And help me also brainstorm when I would get stuck kind of figuring out. Plotting is like a dragon to me, you know, it's such a big animal. So I think it just takes kind of just working with clay. There's a quote by Michelangelo that I really love that reminds me of like creating story. And it's, I saw the angel in the marble and I carved until I set it free. And so I feel like when you write like a first draft, you're like creating marble. And then when you start revising and you bring in, you know, your critique partners and you do whatever you need to do to try and figure out the story, you're carving out the angel of the marble. And I also, the biggest thing that helped me was printing it out and like going off the screen onto the paper. Like there's something like with your brain and I just see things better. And also if I can let anything rest for a while, because when you're in something that tightly, or at least for me, the way my brain works, it's kind of like trying to see the forest for the trees. I get lost and I'm like, I know this isn't right, but I don't know how to get out of it. Yeah.
I can imagine with something that detailed and at that length. I mean, you know, I can picture like doing articles, and I kind of was old school that way. Like I would do it on paper and then try to piece the paragraphs, move them around the way I wanted to. Yes. And there is something visual about that that's different than the computer screen. It's so amazing.
It is. It's wild.
But I have another question that's kind of like another crazy question, but I just and then I'll let Lisa go so she can ask something to chat. But I was just really like the character Hyacinth as a character just kind of morphed so much during the story, and I just kept thinking my feelings changed about her so much. And I wondered how you felt about that and how you had Persephone reconcile with Hyacinth, you know, at the end.
I think people are so flawed. Like, at least I'm thinking about myself. I know that I am so far from perfect and I've made mistakes at different times in my life. And some of them I've made probably thinking I'm for like the right reason. You do the wrong thing. And I think that's human. For being witches, I really want these women to be very clearly human. And so I felt the same way about Hyacinth, even knowing like her trajectory, because I kind of fell in love with her on the page. And yeah, so.
Well, that's really cool. That really comes through. But then to me, it's just really intriguing the way an author can change that character as you know, as the book goes through. And then the relationships between the cousins too were very not shifty, but not shifty in that way. But you know, you think you know who the good ones and the bad ones are at the beginning, but it's not as easy as all that.
Yes. No, there's so much history, and I feel like that's true of like any family, you know, and so I feel like for Persephone, she's getting to see what she was missing, what family's like, but also that it's not perfect either, which I think her mind, she'd always thought like, if I just had this one thing, everything would have been perfect and would have been what she wanted and needed. And, you know, yeah, there's a lot of layers, a lot of gray in all of it, you know?
Yeah.
I had not thought about it that way, but you're right. She's envisioning this sort of perfect world if she only had a family, and look what she got.
Yes.
Yeah. Be careful what you wish for.
Right. We all can relate to that.
Yes. Yes.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Well, I have a question. How did you come up with your character names?
Well, Persephone's was off the mythology. This is fun. Ellison and Ariel are both in tribute to two of my writer friends, JT Ellison and Ariel Long. And they are both two of the strongest, brightest, bravest, this is the curse words, it swears, badasses that I know. And so the characters aren't them at all, but it's like a hat tip to the, you know, the wonderfulness that they are. And
I love that.
Yeah, and then the same for Moira. It's a play off of Myra, one of my Myra McIntyre, one of my very best friends, who's also one of the best people I know. And then Hyacinth, that just came, like that was just her name. And the same for Dorian. And his last name's funny because I've had a couple of people ask me, like, why did you name him Dorian Mosquito? And I was like, it's actually Mosquito. so he's not meant to be a vampire or a mosquito, but you know.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
I have a comment I'd like to share.
Yeah.
Debbie says, I have such admiration for you, Paige, and the way you handle this very complex concept topic into the story you wrote. Thank you for your courage and bravery.
Oh gosh, that's incredible. That'll make me emotional. Thank you.
Oh, that is very sweet.
That's huge.
Yeah.
I want to share something too about the comments we were just talking about with Hyacinth. Marilyn says Hyacinth was responsible for Persephone coming to the island. So how could Persephone hold any bad feelings toward her? She wouldn't have had any knowledge of family without Hyacinth. And I was like,
that's very true.
And also no Dorian.
But that's yeah.
Oh, and she says, and no Dorian.
Yeah.
Also true.
The world would be sadder without Dorian.
Dorian. In my mind, I kept thinking, who would play Dorian in this movie? Like, the tension was so good. I don't know how. I feel like that's hard for writers. I know we kind of you touched on it a little bit already.
Yeah.
But it was just, sometimes you read it and you're like, oh, okay. Some books you might read, you're like, okay, get on with it already.
Yes.
But it was just perfect in this book.
I'm so glad. You know, and I think it's, as the writer, it's it feels like a bit of a gamble because you know if it works for you, but you never know if it'll, you know, work for anyone else. So I'm really glad that you felt that tension and that it was the right amount.
I have to read this funny question or comment. Sharon says, I'm just happy I now know how to pronounce Persephone.
My niece,
You're not alone.
My niece is the same. She was like, I don't understand, what is this name? When I was like drafting it. And I was like, that's a good point.
You're not alone, Sharon. I went through several and I kept getting it wrong. And Brenda, I was like, wait, what is it?
In fact, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just saying, it's like Harry Potter with Hermione. I didn't know what that name was for like 5 books. I just was calling her something in my head.
Well, you know, that's just classic readers for you, because when I was a big reader when I was young, I didn't necessarily know how to pronounce the words, but I knew what they meant. And that's kind of a, you know, homework. But yeah, Lisa did call me and I said Persephone, and she said, is that how you say it?
And then I kept saying it. We'd talk about it and I'd still say it wrong. And I'm like, wait, what was it again?
What is
And
it?
she's like,
Who is she?
Persephone. And I'm like, Persephone.
Yes. Well, yeah. I think when a book like is in the reader's hand, it's yours and the story's yours. So you can really call her whatever you want. And that's her name, you know.
Anissa says, as I read this book, I was amazed that it was a debut. Great character
Oh.
development and interesting storyline. Thank you, Paige.
That is so kind. Thank you. It is my debut, but I have been writing novels for a very long time. And just nothing ever happened with any of the other work. This was my first attempt writing a witchy novel because, like I said, I loved Anne Rice so much that I was like, I can never accomplish anything even like in the same room as that. So I was kind of like, don't even try. And then my dear friend was like, well, if you could write anything, what would you write? And this was it. And so I just went for it. Thankfully.
Oh, you knocked it out of the park with that.
Oh, thank you.
One thing, and I'd like to also ask this for those of you in the chat to answer as well. The question is, Persephone made many sacrifices for her family she had just met because their bonds were strong and the sacrifices were worth it to her. If you were Persephone, would you give up your dreams or goals for your newfound family? And what about you, Paige?
Such an interesting question because I want to say, like, I hope I would be that altruistic, that I would just take that leap of faith and do it. But the thing that I think is so brave about her is, you know, it ends up, I wouldn't necessarily say great for her because she loses a lot, but she does gain something that makes her whole world, I mean, literally, inside of a new world. But she didn't know that. So she's, you know, she comes from such a place of like, I don't know, of bravery. And I hope that I would. I feel like on my good days I would. So.
I like that answer.
Yeah.
Again, like I think people are all, you know, I really believe like we're all, you know, so nuanced as humans. And I'm like, I can't definitively say yes because
But she was left with really a catch-22 choice.
Yes. It was too bad.
Yeah, it wasn't going to work out well for her if she didn't.
Yeah.
That probably helped to spur that decision.
That's a good point. Yes.
But Lisa, if you don't have, I wanted to ask one question from the chat that I think is going to lead into another one, and that's from Cindy Brown, and she wants to know, will you continue to write witchy books?
Yes, I will. I just turned in my second witchy novel to my editor last month. So, and I'm currently drafting, I'm in like the very early stages of drafting a third witchy novel. It's not a series or not a continuation, but they all have the same elements of sisterhood, found family, magic, a little bit of romance, and because I love it. Like I love it. And yeah, all the same kind of elements, I guess.
So you've turned in your second novel to your editor and you're already working on the third. Well, in that vein, I wanted to ask another advanced question. And I think this is up for discussion, but I think this was maybe Anissa's. She says, seems like a sequel is not possible with the way the book ended, but would you consider writing a prequel to give some backstory to the family, all of their secrets?
That's a really cool idea. Yeah, I don't think anything's ever off the table for me in terms of story. So I love that idea. Thank you. It's a great one to percolate on. Yeah.
Well, I do have a couple of answers.
Great.
Marilyn says, you know, it was more than just family. She had to rescue all those lost souls and save the whole world from breaking.
Yes,
so it's a lot more.
That's very true.
Molly says, I'm adoptee, and honestly, it would depend. To break a curse, I would. And with no family, what a bonus for her.
Mm.
And Leslie says it makes sense for the character as she feels the family is supposed to make sacrifices for each other. But I feel like those that have family know that things are more nuanced.
Yeah.
That's true. Just because they're family doesn't mean they're perfect or they're, you know, a perfect relationship. Well, that's interesting because I also was thinking, you know, there would be, the prequel would be very interesting because there's so much that we still don't know. It was such a like a sweeping novel in terms of what you cover.
Yeah.
That,
but there's a lot that happened off page, especially with the grandmother and the mother and those generations as well.
Absolutely. So you left lots of room in there.
And I have to share with you, we have a lot of people in the chat. They have decided that they'd like to see Ian Somerhalder as Dorian.
Oh,
and let me tell you, as a
Vampire
Vampire Diaries fan and a correspondent for that show, I've met Ian several times, and I definitely agree with that 100%.
That's amazing. I always call him Ian Smolderholder. I never say his last
Smolder,
name.
yes. Because he does this, he has the famous Smolder.
I love the Vampire Diaries too. Yeah. Yeah.
He has that
look
that he gives.
Yes.
I could have had that picture queued up if I next time.
I know.
I'll share.
That's really cool. I love
my
that
Ian Somerhalder story.
Yeah.
I definitely think that's a good choice. And they're excited about your other books.
Yay.
More romance and witches, please.
Yes.
When will your second novel
Maureen,
come out? Oh, I'm sorry, Lisa.
I was just going to say, Maureen says, congratulations on your new book, Paige. I'm looking forward to reading it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. The second one comes out, I believe, I feel like it's always subject to change. So I'm like, with the caveat, like the asterisk at it, but I believe it's like Halloween of next year is what they were looking at.
Ooh, that would be good timing.
I think that's right, but yeah.
Can you tell us anything about it?
Yes, a little bit about it. It's about a lost witch again, in Ireland, and she's out of time and she has lost her memory. And so that's really kind of all I can say. It's about little miracles and promising mistakes, and then sisterhood and found family and some yummy romance. And there's a little bit more mythology woven into this one too. So
oh well,
that's that.
I guess. Yeah.
That's something to look forward to for next year. Yay.
Yeah.
Well,
super excited.
I cannot believe it, but our time is getting close to being up.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Before we ask a question or two, I'd like to make a few announcements for the book club if I could. So I'd first like to mention that we'd love to have you join us for next month's book club session, where we will be talking about Once Upon a Wardrobe with Fatty Callahan Henry on November 15th, and Vanna there is showing it there. And look for details soon on our upcoming second annual Friendsgiving book club gathering on November 18th. We had a great time last year, and we wanted to do that again for everybody. And this Wednesday on the Friends in Fiction main page is, oh my goodness, Richard Paul.
And the celebration for Christy.
Yes, and the celebration for Christmas at Peachtree Bluff. So we have a lot going on. So hope everyone stays with us for those events. And I don't know what Lisa has in mind for closing, but the last question I want to grab off of the chat from a little earlier, I saw it was, Paige, what are you going to be for Halloween?
And what are your Halloween traditions? I want to tag on to that.
Yeah. Well, for Halloween, I don't know who else is familiar with the show Doctor Who, But my husband and I are both going as the weeping angels. For
Oh, I love
so,
that.
and I feel like I should say witch, but weeping angel. So
I love that.
yeah.
That's so cool. And do you have any Halloween traditions that you do every year? Is it big in your household?
And we decorate our house inside and outside. I've got 2 little kiddos, so it's less than we used to do because one of them's 2.5, and she likes to take everything and move it or try and eat it or throw it down, and so you end up just it's like an adventure. But I love the Halloween movies. I always watch everything from like Hocus Pocus to the Halloween Towns to anything on Hallmark. Like I just love it all. And then our neighborhood that we live in, it's very super into Halloween. And so this year we're excited because there will be like, besides just some trick-or-treating, there's also like an outdoor little parade for all of that. And so hopefully that's starting a new tradition that we'll get to do every year. Yeah.
Oh,
that's
awesome.
fun.
Yeah. It's like
That
the best
sounds
time
so
of year.
fun.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, I love this time of year too.
Oh, it's the best.
Yeah, I think y'all are kindred spirits.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot.
All
We have a
about-
lot in
love it.
common. I was like,
All
yep,
about the Halloween.
Yes.
Well, Paige,
Well-
we have had, oh, go ahead, Lisa.
I was just gonna say, we're so glad
Oh,
that you took the time to do this with us. Our readers loved the book, and I love the book, and we're just so happy that you took time to talk with our book
oh
club.
my gosh, are you kidding? This was incredible. I'm so honored that you invited me. This is amazing, and I've had the best time.
I know it's
Cool.
been so much fun.
Yes.
The time just flew by, so you'll have to go back and you can look in the chat and see people's comments. We had a couple, they went by so fast. One of our readers, Maria, shared a couple of her favorite quotes from the book.
Oh, that's amazing.
And I was trying to find it, but I can't get back to it. Well, oh, here's one of them. She says, my favorite line is, those who say it cannot be done should not interrupt those doing it. Something to live by, I feel.
I like that one too.
There's a lot of just so much love for you and for the book. So
well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank everyone in the book club. This has been incredible. I'm honored.
And
really.
Where can people keep up with you, like your upcoming events? And please share your Instagram because I'm a fan of it.
Oh, yes. On Instagram, it's at Paige Crutcher Writes. You can find me there. And then I have an event this week for anyone who's in Nashville or surrounding. I'll be at Parnassus Books on Friday, October 29th from 3 to 4, doing a signing only. So if you're in the area and you want to come say hi, please do.
Nice. Well, thank you so much. Brenda, do you have anything else you want to say?
I just wanted to let everyone know I put your Instagram handle in the chat, and they can follow you there. And again, we're just so delighted to have you here tonight to spend our Monday evening with us. And we just look forward to continued success of the Orphan Witch. Thanks so much.
Thank you, guys. I'm going to go read Patty Callahan Henry's Once Upon a Wardrobe when we get off here. So that's what I'm doing tonight.
Just be ready for next month.
That's right.
Yeah, you can come back for our book
I'm going to
club
come back.
Next
Absolutely. I'm excited to get to hear.
All right. Take care, Paige. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.